So I did my fieldwork at a school in Rose Park called SLCSE. Most of the students in the classroom that I observed in were Spanish speaking. There were about 7 students in the classroom at all times. I observed both level 3 and 4 students and then also a level 2 classroom. Most of the classes started with some type of exercise that they'd have to use their critical thinking skills for. On one particular day, they were doing Mancala, which is a strategy-based game. After playing the game, they were asked to then write down some of the strategies that they learned. So during the game, it was kind of informal. And I noticed kind of a pattern pop up. And I don't know if it was because it was an informal exercise or if this is just, this was one of the times that I heard the students speak the most. But I noticed that they would drop the endings of words pretty often. So when the word had a vowel and then a consonant ending, they would omit the consonant. So for example, that's what I said. You can see it here. That's what I said. They omitted the what and then this D on the said. They did the same on the word wait. So we have wait and that's my, as in that's mine. Again, I think that one of the major reasons why that was happening is because it was a bit informal, but this was also something that I saw persist throughout the classroom when they had that time to break out and speak a lot with their classmates. So that is something that I would address. I didn't hear the teacher address that, and I think maybe the best way moving forward to address that issue would be to have students write and speak their writing, and then they'll be able to really visually see that there are, there are portions of those words that they're not pronouncing. The second example in the classroom came when students were breaking out into groups again for another exercise. It was for a game called Set. And this time on the ending, instead of not pronouncing it, they were pronouncing it but with a D instead of a T. So words like said were being set were being pronounced said. So that's not a said instead of that's not a set. And then another example where I'll pull this out was but like. It was but like. This is likely to be because most of these students are from Spanish-speaking countries, and in Spanish you pronounce the T as a D oftentimes. So there could be confusion there, in addition to not having the muscle memory in their mouths to pronounce it correctly in English. So they're pressing their tongue against their ovular ridge rather than against their teeth to make the T instead of the D. The third example was a written example from a student in a level 2 classroom. In this classroom, they're asked to do like daily journals. The questions vary from video games, like what's your opinion on video games? Do you think they're bad? To what would you do to make the world a better place? And on this day, they were asked the question, what would you do to make the world a better place? And this student in particular that I picked a sample of writing from had one of the better vocabularies of the students in that class. And this was her response. I would catch people that someone robbed Mooney, car, banks, jewelry, people, and house. I would know where they are. So there are a couple issues with her response, but I think first and foremost I would commend her on her vocabulary usage because it, was so expansive. But spelling tends to be a big issue with this. Again, we have catch and people, but we can see that she's sounding them out. So I think that's a step in the right direction. So I think some reading exercises would help her get to the point that she can kind of identify those words in the correct spelling. But I think first and foremost, I would talk to her about sentence structure and really do some exercises with sentence structure and connectors and conjunctions so that her writing can be more smooth, because I think she's looking for the words, she just might not have them. And I think when you see students with that kind of mindset where they're using all this vocabulary, it's because they don't have the words to connect their ideas. So really giving her some exercises to build those connecting words, I think would be really beneficial. I didn't see the teacher address this student in any way for their writing. They get pretty much 100 points for doing the exercise, which I think is great, but I think we could really challenge her development in writing by addressing some of those issues in the journal entries. So that was my field experience. Thanks.